right, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's good, everybody? Good morning, good morning. Just going to give it a couple seconds, let everybody else join onto the call, obviously, so that way we can all begin at the same time. I want to make sure that everybody's getting the same amount of knowledge, value as well, and be able to see the questions that you guys be able to ask. Obviously, those questions are going to be important because somebody else can learn from those questions, and I really want to make sure that at least if we're all on at the same time, obviously we'll be able to learn at the same time. So just going to give it a couple seconds, see if anybody else joins on. If you can, really quick though, share the link with anybody who you believe is going to obviously be able to learn from these, be able to make some money as well. What I'll be doing is I'll basically be looking at the charts, marking things up, especially on a Tuesday, to send any type of signals out to students to obviously go on our auto trader and play some signals for that as well, to make sure that everybody's just profiting daily. Obviously, I'll be sharing that analysis, that knowledge and value with you all, so that way, obviously, everybody can to profit and obviously get some solid gains. I actually do want to take a look here on GBP, JPY as soon as we get the chance. So definitely going to take a look at that. Obviously, I'll take a look at gold and some other pairs as well. But as people start to come in, I definitely want to see if you guys have any general questions, because if you guys do, obviously, I want to make sure that I'm answering those questions to the best of my abilities, and then go from there. But real quick, I do see that we have some people on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I appreciate you guys currently being on. What's good, everybody? We'll actually get started here. I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long. But I definitely want to take a look at GJ. I definitely want to take a look at gold. And also any other pairs that you are personally looking at as well, because it's really important, right? It's important that I look at what you guys want to see, take a look at, anything that's relevant towards you. So that way you can obviously get the knowledge, the needed information and value, so everybody can obviously progress and become their own profitable individual trader in the near future as well, right? So I'm definitely going to take a look at a few things and then go from there. So real quick, any questions? I am taking a look at the chat below. Also understand that there is a minor delay between the feed and you, between me and you guys. It's really important that you guys know that. So that way, if you guys ask a question, you see it's like 7 seconds to 10 seconds for me to answer, some shit for me to see it. I'm not ignoring you. It's just not popping up on my end that quickly. So I do see that we have a question from my man James. It says chart USD CHF looks like a short on the 4 hour. The thing is, you guys got to understand one thing. So we'll actually go take a look at USD CHF because there's strong buys on that. You see what I'm saying? We're not looking for sells whatsoever on this market. There is no ideas of that. If you're looking at the pullback trade, I mean possibly, but you don't want to do that necessarily because that's not the long-term approach. Anything, at least the way that I personally like to trade, I like to get the big move. I don't want just the small moves because we'll kind of go over what will initially happen. So I'll go over the reasoning on why this is currently a buy and why you should not be looking for sells. If you are, we'll see how that could possibly work out and where you should look to take profit as well. But I'll only do that if you guys could do me one favor, share this with other people, like the video, comment, whatever questions that you guys personally have. Again, the more that this grows, the more value that I'll be putting out for you guys, the more consistency, obviously this is going to be consistent every day, but the consistency between value, between the profits as well. I'll be sending out signals for you guys in the Discord as well, so that way you guys can profit. Obviously trades being taken here, so definitely want to interact with other people, so make sure that you guys share this with other individuals. So real quick, we can go over USD CHF. Now that we got that out the way, let's go ahead and take a look. So what I do want to take a look at is obviously the higher time frame, because you're not going to get overall analysis by looking at just the 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 and 5 minute and 1 minute. None of that shit really works, right? You have to put everything together. Without it, nothing. It's going to be very difficult for us to look for a potential opportunity. Now, what I can see is this, that the market here found a strong level of support. That's important for me, right? Because that level of support has obviously been respected. It's been respected here on the daily time frame with a triple bottom, 1, 2, 3. So me seeing the triple bottom there is obviously more of along the lines of a bullish indication. Obviously now, if you guys don't know your candlestick patterns, I believe that you guys should start taking a look at them. Let me just make sure that I have my stream up to date, so that way if you guys are asking any questions, we're good. So what I can see is this morning star candlestick formation. It's with these 3 candles. So me seeing that Morningstar candle formation is probably going to tell me that buyers are probably coming into the market. And it's important that we see that from that point, from the structure. What's also important is when we scale down to a smaller time frame, probably have to scale down to like the 1 hour actually. You can see that there's a double bottom. We'll go back up to the 4 hour here in a second, but that double bottom is important. So, and again, I'm looking at overall. I'm not just looking at the right now. Now with the 4 hour, that's important too, or there is importance here at the 4 hour because you already have a break of that structure point. So the break of that structure point could be, the retest before the next buy happens. If you're looking for a sell, it's probably going to be there, and that's it. You know what I mean? That's really important that you see that, because what would you rather identify? The short move or this big ass move that the market's probably going to come all the way back up here and reach that point? I'd rather get 400 pips. I know this isn't 400 pips, but I'd rather get 400 pips in total than, 15 or 20. Right now, I've personally taken profits for everybody on the auto trader. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. But there were two entries. We had an entry here and we had an entry here. And we were able to catch this entire move to the upside. I'm not just trying to catch a small move. You always want to try to catch the big move, the entire, trend, if you will. So USD CHF, what's good, Nikki? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So you always want to make sure that you're looking at the overall aspect. If you're looking for a sell on the 4 hour, why? Just because it's, you're looking for the corrective trade. What if this doesn't correct down there? What if it doesn't sell? Because right now this could easily, stop correcting from there and immediately start to buy. This market is very bullish. You don't want to go against that, especially without no selling indications, right? Just because it looks like it's overbought doesn't necessarily mean that it is. A lot of the times when we look at our indicators like RSIs or stochastics or even MACD, there's a lot of the times where it's like, oh, it's overbought, and next thing you know, it just continues. Those type of indicators or indications in the market do not work in a trending market. So it's very important that everybody understands that. You're not going to be able to use those overbought or oversold ideas when you're having a strong trending market, especially when the market is now finding its movement. This is finding its movement. So if you're looking for sells, that's going to be considered a counter trend trade. If you want to do that, you can. Maybe to that level, but that's still very risky. But overall, I would say that you're still looking for buys. You're not going to go against that just yet. You would just simply do that. Obviously, you'll buy to the next level of structure, being those highs here. That's currently what I might be looking for if this even does correct. It doesn't seem like it will. But if I use my fibs from the swing low to swing high here, we're just going to get more confluence. So now we have a kill zone that you can look for potential buys at. But again, I would say that's a little risky in the sense because, again, selling into the buy with that little bit of space probably isn't best. And that's just me being like the professional here, right? Good morning. What's good, Miss Newsom? So real quick, any other questions? Any other charts that you guys want to take a look at? Is there something that you're confused on? By all means, feel free to let me know. If not, I'll take a look at some other charts. I know we just went over USD CHF just briefly to get started with. But yeah, I wouldn't be looking for any sells on this whatsoever. And don't just because you're like, it looks like a sell on the 4 hour, you can't rely on just one time frame. Everything has to tell you a sell. If not, then it's just still a continued buy, especially after the break of these structure points, right? There could be a correction. I'll use this Fibonacci extension really fast. Swing low, swing high, back down. So that's like the only thing I would think of is just maybe the correction from there since we hit the 127 and that potential retest there. And that's pretty much about it, I would think. And then just a continued buy. So we do have some confluence there. So swing lows, swing high. So we do have some confluence around the idea of the correction leading into that the impulse is over with because we have our Fibonacci extension, and it could lead into our correction, but that'll just lead into our next impulsive move to the upside. So it also looks like a harmonic pattern forming. Now, I'm not going to go over harmonics and get too deep on that. If you guys want, Scott Carney himself, the master, the man, the myth, the creator of harmonic patterns, he does live sessions as well in the mornings, right? Like I think after me, for the most part. I have mine strategically placed in between other people going live, so that way there's no interruption, no competition, and then he does the same thing, so it's like right after mine, so it works perfectly. So if you guys want to understand harmonics, you go to that man. But yeah, that's probably the best idea, but I would still see this long. But yeah, no comments I see so far, or no questions rather, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and take a look at some other charts. I'm going to take a look at GJ because let me see, I'm not, and I do want to get back into this. So I'm actually going to be looking at this as a potential buy. Now, I got out of the buys because I just wanted to take profits on all trades. I wanted to just end in profits with everything. I didn't want to have to like come onto this chart and teach you guys and the market goes haywire. But there's a few things we got to take a look at with GJ, right? Because this is I wouldn't say an iffy market, but for the most part, it's pretty bullish, right? Because now we're in this consolidated point. Seems like we're in this range, if you will, right? Because that's the range low. That's a support low. So anytime I see a range low or support low, I obviously want to, indicate any potential, actions there in the future. Because just to go over this in total, right, to get this market done in general, we can see that the market currently is selling because we hit this high level of resistance, right? Just a very simple aspect. We're not going to overcomplicate anything that we're doing within our trading. We want to keep it easy. That's the most important part. Because you can make trading as difficult as you want, or you can make it as easy as you want. And we're going to try to make it easy. So you can see right here, this level of resistance is played out pretty heavily. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a reversal. That could just mean a correction, because this is still very much an impulse. This is still very much the correction of that impulse. So, I don't know what I just pressed down there, but what I do know is that this is leading into, or after this resistance has been respected, now we're coming back to a very significant level of other structure, support. Now, me seeing this level of support is going to be something like this. It's going to look like this. Right? And the reason why that's support is because this was a level of resistance. You can see here, resistance, resistance, resistance. If you follow my cursor, that ended up being broken above. And there was some support here and a minor rejection. Even though we crashed back below it, there was still some action that was placed there. And then obviously we do have our structural point down here. Now, I'm not focused on this down here because that's not where we are. What I am focused on right now is this area here. Now, this does look like a very weird inverted head and shoulders pattern. I'll get rid of a few things so that way you guys can see that as well. So you guys can see that this is the left shoulder, the head of the pattern, and the right shoulder. Now, with this will be a little bit different because the neckline is kind of like, when you look at a head and shoulders pattern, we'll do inverted. It looks something like this, right? Where you have a neckline that is almost identical, so you can actually draw a level of resistance there. And then obviously if that's broken, you continue to look for buys. But now this looks like it's extended up a little bit. That's perfectly fine. I think a lot of individuals get confused with that and think that is not valid. As long as the pattern does not break below, or the right shoulder and the left shoulder does not break below the head, it's still valid. It doesn't matter how far extended the right shoulder may be before reaching that left shoulder price. So for me, this is still very much a valid inverted head and shoulders pattern. That's important for me to identify because we're at a level of strong support. What that could mean is there's a lot of people would think that this is a reversal pattern. We can't consider this a reversal pattern because this is a continuation pattern. It's continuing with the market. So now I'm potentially going to be looking for buys on GBP, JPY. Now, if I go ahead and scale down to a small time frame, I'll get rid of everything. I'll put a line here so there's no confusion. A lot of the times you'll see that I'll do my analysis kind of like how I'm drawing it out now, just to get a strong understanding. And then I'll delete everything because I have a firm idea that's in my head. And then I'm scaling down to smaller time frames to get even more detail. So that way I can obviously understand any potential entries for profits. So if I scale down to the 4 hour now, I'm not really looking for too much. I mean, obviously I want to see some candlesticks. I want to see some action here. I do see some candlestick or bullish variance. I'm going to label this my structural high and low because this was the previous low and now it is the resistance, and this is basically like a break and a retest. So this still has a potential to push down lower. Currently, the immediate market is a sell, so we're not going to go against that currently. But I'm not going to look for buys, or I'm not going to look for anything until either one of these levels are broken, right? We can have this breaks to the downside, and then I'm now not looking for any buys because the structural point that I'm looking at, as far as the what used to be resistance is now support, has been broken, right? Let's say if it has been. Now I'm not looking for buys because obviously that's going to push down a little bit lower. I might look for buys even if it reaches down here to the actual low of that left shoulder. But so far it's respecting the overall price of this zone being here. Right, that's the whole price point, but I'm not going to have my chart look that crazy, right? I don't want my zones being that big. It looks insane. So I personally just have it like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of this up here, that resistance, because I do want to scale down to the 1 hour time frame, 1 hour, 2 hour, kind of get a strong idea with this. I'm going to get rid of everything right now because, again, I have an idea, right? I already went from the higher time frames down, so I want to see what happens next. So I'm actually going to go here and draw what you would call a counter trend line, especially here on a smaller time frame. These are important because they can obviously, if shows a break, will show you a continuation. Obviously, I'm going to put a level of structure here because this is still the daily structure, but this is now being a little bit more detailed to exact price, as you can see here on the 1 hour. So I'm going to leave it right there. I'm actually going to clone this because this can actually just be an ascending channel here for a little bit. So I'll just do something like that. Because obviously if the upper trend line is broken, you have a buy. So I'm actually going to draw this as its little section. Now I'm just being detailed, right? Because what I'm doing is I'm gathering all the needed information that I personally need to understand what could potentially happen next, right? I would like to see either end broken. I would like to see the trend line, the counter trend line broken, and the structural point broken, because then you can have a break and a retest of there or here. And the same thing to the upside. If it breaks this high and that minor trend line here, then obviously I'm going to look for potential buys and retest of the trend line or structure, probably structure. So with GJ, I'm going to be looking for buys, but this is where the patience within trading comes into play. I think a lot of people, what they fuck up at is they think that, oh shit, you know what I mean? I'm at daily structure, bang, time to buy. Nah, homie, that's not how it works. You want to make sure that when you're looking at a trade, you're understanding that, one, the overall analysis, what kind of structure you're at. I see that I'm at daily, so that's a higher time frame confluence, meaning that the probabilities are higher in my favor. If you're on like a 5-minute or a 15-minute structure, that shit probably going to break, right? Let's be real. Those structures or those time frames are not meant for having strong structure points. But if I'm at a daily and I'm starting to see bullish indications such as a breakout pattern or higher lows currently being made, wicks and rejection to the downside, I'm going to be looking for potential buys here. So if you are a part of the Discord, which I'm pretty sure everybody is, if you're not, the link for it is in the description below. If this does turn out to be a buy, I am going to be sending this out as a signal for everybody, not just my students, but for everybody in the Discord, even on the public aspect as well. So definitely make sure that you go ahead and log into that. But I definitely do see some buys here on GJ setting up. Now, obviously, this is just analysis. This is not me executing a trade. A lot of people always get it fucked up and say, but Jay, you were wrong. You're not wrong until you lose money off of it. You're only wrong until that point. You're right up until that point. So there's no moves being made on this just yet. I would say that for us, we just need to simply sit on our hands and identify some more potential setups, which we'll do right now. So real quick, I do see that we have a bunch of people on right now. Thank you. I appreciate you guys coming on right now. If anybody here shared the link and got some attendees, thank you so much for that. I appreciate the support and you guys, sharing the link and inviting other people. If not, I don't care. If you guys are on, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you getting some value with me. So any questions, any charts that you guys personally would like to take a look at? Is anyone confused with the breakdown that I personally put here with GBP, JPY? If so, by all means, feel free to let me know. I want to see how this ends up. Now, I know a lot of people are like, but Jay, that's a bearish breakout pattern. I personally don't like breakout patterns only because I've seen a lot of bearish ones end up bullish and vice versa. So for me, I'm just going to use it in the sense of identifying which end is broken, because that means the market will continue in that direction. So questions, comments, anything you guys got? Any other charts and markets that you guys would like to personally take a look at, feel free to let me know. I definitely want to make sure that I'm speaking on relevance so everybody here can obviously learn something. Take this back with your own, take this back to your own individual trading to be profitable. It's really important that I help you guys really understand how to trade. I see a lot of these YouTube channels is just like trading on the 5 and 15-minute time frame, and I mean, it might work for some, but overall, consistently, it's hard to do that, because if you don't understand the true dynamic and how you're supposed to look at the market and how to trade it, then working those little strategies might not be best, because you don't have a general aspect of how things are supposed to work. So this is why I'm just going over the general aspect, the overall, the long term, because if this buys long term, this is going to, if this buys, it's going to buy long term. It's not just going to be one buy and that's it. You can place one entry and I'm not saying do it now, but let's say we did buy, that's one entry, it moves up to these highs, you're good. You don't have to scalp, 10, 15 pips just to equal the same amount that if one person placed one trade and held to that point, equals the same. So I really want you guys to understand that trading in this aspect might help you with your other strategies as well. It definitely helps me with mine. Once I had a strong understanding of how to see the market in this way, every other strategy became super, super easy. But yeah, seems like nobody got no questions. Looks like everybody Gucci. I'm assuming everybody's good. But all right, so let me go ahead and take a look at gold. I definitely want to see what's happening with that, because this is kind of annoying me right now. But I might actually start looking for sells from here. So we'll actually take a look at this and see if there's any trades. Now, I might actually go ahead. Actually, you know what? On a personal note, I am going to place a trade right now. I'm on my phone really quick, so I'm actually going to do that, because this is for the auto trader down here. I have my own personal account, which will be reflected. So I'm going to place a trade right there. Give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and place this on my phone. So I definitely want to make sure that I'm in this. Now, I'm going to go over the reasoning on why I'm placing the sells here. Okay. All right. I wanted to make sure that I placed that. So the one thing I'm currently looking at, I mean, a lot of you guys can currently see it, is just that resistance point. That resistance point, especially, I mean, on a smaller time frame aspect right now, I mean, I don't like using small time frame structure. For me right now, the 1 hour would be considered somewhat of a small time frame. But you can see here this structure, that structure high is being respected. I mean, there's really not much else to go over as far as why I'm selling this. It's just a very simple aspect. I know right now this is currently bullish. We'll go over this in general. Right now, this is currently bullish. You know what I mean? Like overall, the market is actually going to go to the weekly. Instead of scrunching up so much. We can see right now currently gold is pretty much in a little range. But on the smaller time frames, it does have a trend, if you will. Right, so we're just going to mark it up like this. And you can see a small break above that already here on the weekly. Here on the daily is just kind of like looking like this weird head and shoulders pattern. But there's a few things we need to go over, right? Since we are kind of breaking above structural highs, like we are breaking above this resistance, we're also retesting that resistance, right? That's important for us to identify. That's why I'm not so heavy on the sells right now. I am taking obviously a small sell, but that's because we're at a level of resistance and I want to see how it plays out. It's a very low risk for me because my stop loss is personally small. I'll show you where my stop loss currently will be as I manage it, rather, because I haven't set it. I'll just be managing it while I'm here with you guys. And then also my lot size is not fucking 30 standards, right? I'm not over leveraging. But I am taking note and the risk behind that, and the reason why my lots aren't too big, my stop loss will be pretty tight, is because we did break above the structure and we have came back to retest this point. If I see something like that, especially as the market is creating these higher lows, and somewhat like, I mean, higher highs. I know we don't have these highs higher, but we are getting like that bullish momentum, especially after that break. I mean, no, I'm looking at this. I'm not looking at this specific point. We're taking into account everything, but I'm just going to draw right here for clarity, right? Just to keep it real simple. Bitcoin. I'll take a look at Bitcoin after this. Actually, that's a beautiful pair. I definitely want to take a look at that, or market rather. I'll definitely take a look at Bitcoin. I actually do have some strong analysis and ideas with that. So what I am taking a look at, again, the break and the retest of that point. And what we do need to take into account is that candle here, especially on the daily, right? Because the higher the time frame, stronger the confluence. I want everybody to remember that. So if I scale back down to the 4 hour, you could definitely see the consolidation that it's holding around this range, and the wicks, the rejection of it. Wicks equal rejection, right? I want everybody to remember that. I always tell my students that it's like one of the most important things that everybody understands, that wicks do in fact equal rejection. I see that. Now I see this. If I can see this breaking the potential retest of that structure point, I'm actually going to draw a trend line for future reference. I'm not too sure if this is going to work out for here, but I think for future references might. Let me actually get close. I don't got my contacts in, so I can't see shit. All right, so we do have a trend line there as well. Let me actually just make sure this is accurate on the bottom. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I'm actually just going to go extend this. So we do have a bullish trend line that can be used for future reference. We do have the break and retest of that structure point so far. And if we just add a fib from the swing lows here to swing highs, we're right at that 38.2. So we are within a buy kill zone. So that's why it's a little risky on the sells that I'm currently taking, right? But the only reason why I'm looking for those sells is, again, because this level of structure hasn't really been broken just yet. So this is how my current trade setup will look. I haven't placed my stop losses or take profits just yet. I'll be managing it while we're on this call. So as you can see here, my entries are somewhere like over here somewhere. So let's just say here. My stop loss is going to go right above these highs. So stop loss is not that tight. It's about 70 pips. For gold, that's a pretty tight stop loss, if you will. My take profit is going to be right back down here at these lows. So it's almost a 1-to-1 trade, almost more along the lines of a 1-to-2, because the take profit is just over 100 pips and the stop loss is just about 70. So it is somewhat, in a sense, the risk to reward in my favor, but it's a high risk trade because, I mean, overall, we should be initially looking for buys. But I do want to see how this level of minor structure plays out. Minor because, again, it's on the 1 hour time frame. Trying to answer questions without y'all even asking. I got you. So this is knowledge. Real quick, if anybody's getting some information, some knowledge, by all means, please share this with somebody. I want everybody to learn something, be able to understand how to trade. It's very important. It's one of my goals for this year. To actually be able to impact people's lives, to at least help them make 5 to 6 to 7 figures. There's people who have enough money to trade and trust themselves to make 7 figures. If you could do that, by all means. And that's no bullshit. That's me being real. I just want to be able to see people win. So if you feel like you have a bunch of people who know or who are learning how to trade, send them over. Give them the link. So I want to make sure that they're getting this information. But I am going to take a look at Bitcoin now. As I do that, feel free to let me know if you guys have any questions. That is my current trade setup. That's a very high risk trade. So please do not trade this if you can't afford the risk. Obviously, if you don't want to lose a trade, because obviously we're going against the initial grain, the market direction, which is bullish. And obviously we're getting a lot of bullish indication. But I just want to see how this plays out around here. Nothing too crazy, but I personally will be looking long-term buys on this as far as gold is concerned. And if gold goes up, I mean, then we're going to be looking for definite buys on GBP, JPY. If you guys don't know that correlation, do some Googling. All right, let me actually go take a look at GBP, JPY, because if there's a trade on that, I want to get into that. Still holding, okay. So let's go take a look at Bitcoin really quick, see if there's anything. Well, there's a lot that I do want to speak on with this. I'm going to get rid of all drawings. And as you guys wait, again, if you guys are confused, if you guys have any questions, again, if there's any other charts that you guys would like to take a look at, let me know in the comments. I am definitely taking a look at them. And then I'll go over those as I'm done going over Bitcoin. I'll obviously try to answer any questions that you all have as I'm going over Bitcoin, or answer them to the best of my abilities as soon as I can. But yeah, definitely taking a look in the comments. So if you have anything, feel free to let me know. So let me just make sure that everything on my end is Gucci, so I'm not missing anything. All right, perfect. Just making sure that, like on my phone, I'm not missing anything in the comments. But all right, let's take a look at Bitcoin, because this is something important that we definitely need to take a look at. So, I mean, just like I said yesterday morning, if anybody was on yesterday's live, I mean, I said this was going to sell, and actually last night when I was looking at this with students, I didn't expect this low, because this low here is extremely important. Right, that's where Bitcoin is going. It's inevitable. It's going to reach these lows. Now, a lot of people, again, laughed and joked and said, Jay, that's impossible. We're at 70,000. It'll never reach those lows again. It's too volatile. Well, I doubt that they're, laughing now, because this is definitely reaching this point. You can see what happened before that led us to believe way before this break to downside happened. Right? There were actions that occurred that showed us. I mean, can you see it now? Just a very simple pattern. I think a lot of people ignore it. I think just, nobody wants to think that patterns in this sense are very valuable, and they are. We have to understand the clues that the markets leave behind. Bitcoin's a sell. There's really not much else to go over with that. When we're looking at Bitcoin, when we're looking at these cryptos, we have to also understand that they respect structure, patterns, shapes, if you will, trend lines, fibs, just as much, if not more perfect than actual forex pairs. Same thing as gold, right? And US 30. These things, or indices in general, these things respect structure points. They respect technical analysis almost perfectly. Bitcoin is going to continue to sell down to that point. It is inevitable. That is around $30,000. Now, that's great if you are somebody who has not invested into Bitcoin or is not losing any money into this. Now, a lot of people are losing millions. But the thing is, this could be all avoided if you just look at the chart. And I'm not saying you in general, I'm not saying anybody, I'm just generalizing the statement to a lot of people who could have avoided this, right? A lot of people are burning right now because Bitcoin or the majority of cryptos are currently on a sell. And that's perfectly okay. Again, if you are somebody who has not invested previously, it's going to be very good, right? Because now at 30,000, I'm not saying go ahead and just throw 30 in. Not a lot of people have that. But if you can invest 50, 100, it's a lot cheaper than it was at 70,000. We're almost halfway, half off at this point. I do believe if that level of structure is broken, now this is a little bit more far-fetched, and I would even laugh at myself at this point. But I mean, at this point, it's not inevitable. If this is broken, Bitcoin is just going to reach back down to these levels easily. And then obviously we have the structural point down here. Now, these are far-fetched, right? These I would even laugh at myself, but with how everything is shaping up, with how crypto or Bitcoin in general is, it does seem as if it's going to continue to push down lower. Good morning, what's up? And the same thing with XRP. I'll take a look at that here in a second, but all cryptos, we'll actually take a look at that now. All cryptos, XRP included, will continue to sell. I don't have any analysis on this because it's a free fall. Right now, you're at that point with XRP as well. You're at a structural point. Guess what? If that's broken, you're going to come right back down to your 17-cent mark. Or what? You'd almost hit 13, right? Oh, it came down to 11. What am I talking about? This is the audit that, or the almost closing that XRP had. But right now, what you're looking at is you're at your support. If that's broken, bye-bye. Now, would I start saying go ahead and invest into XRP right now from where it's at? Definitely not. You're in a strong sell. The market hasn't shown any buys or any type of bullish momentum yet. So, for the majority of all cryptos, they're just selling. You're not investing into them just yet. If you are, you're probably going to be losing a little bit of money. I would suggest to hold off a little bit, allow these markets to actually start showing more bullish intent. I do think right now XRP, at this area that it's currently at 60 cents, might be the best area, my personal opinion. If that is broken, guaranteed a lot of people are going to be mad because guess what? It will in fact come back down to the next most relevant level of structure, which we can currently see just being roughly around that range. That's about 17 cents. That's not, for me, I would love that. Go ahead, put $100 into something like this. You still make some decent money. Go ahead, put 1,000, 10,000. We already see where it's gotten. Overall, XRP, when it first came out, came to $3, over $3. We could reach those highs again. It's just now along the lines of patience. But as far as crypto investing, and no, don't do anything just yet. Cryptos right now are bleeding, and there's a reason for that. Not a lot of people are investing into cryptos because the majority of them have made their moves, and a lot of big banks and institutions are now coming in. So you think anybody wants to buy when it's at its highest point? No. We know that that's never the case. I'm on SHIB Inu now, right? We know SHIB Inu, when it first came out, was pretty cool, but then it came and just bottomed out. Now we have a skyrocket. This was up 42,000%, if I'm correct. It could have been more, honestly. I think it might have been 42 million%, some shit like that. It was a wild number. But same thing with SHIB. A lot of people are saying, oh, this huge market, let's all buy into it. You never buy at the highest point. A lot of investors, a lot of people know that. This is where people made their money. And this is where a lot of people said, I made my money, I'm taking it out. This is now a lot of people who don't have, this is small money. This is people putting $20, $30 every week or so. And there's nothing wrong with that because I do think overall we're going to see a continuation to the upside. But this is not enough, there's not enough money to move this to the upside. What I do think, again, I'm just looking at this on the weekly actually, I think we might actually have SHIB in a nice little area for potential buys as well. Look at that. Just here on the weekly. This is the entry. This is the day one of, or week one rather, because we're on weekly. But this is the first week of SHIB Inu's existence. We're right back at that structure. You can see where it closed, and then the next candle couldn't even break above. It immediately closed below. Couldn't even try to make it up any higher. we're right back at that structure. So if you're going to keep anything on your radar, I think XRP, just like the individual had asked, I think XRP is really good so far in the sense of where it's currently at, if it holds. And I think right now, SHIB Inu, if this holds, we're also at a pretty good level for potential, long-term investments to the upside. So that really depends. But again, just to go back to XRP, we are in a nice little range. I do think that this range for, potential investments, I don't trade or day trade any crypto markets. I personally just invest into them. So I'll just load up my wallet, every so often. If I'm just throwing, this is me exaggerating. I'm just throwing a fucking wild number out there, right? Let's say I make $1 million a day. Obviously, that's not the case because I wouldn't be doing YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. I would probably still be doing it, to be honest. But $1 million a day does sound great. But I definitely wouldn't be trading, to be honest. It definitely wouldn't be trading. If I'm making $1 million a day, that'll probably be like real estate. But let's say if I'm making $1 million a day, I would take 500,000, half of that, and then I would throw that into, let's say, one of my crypto wallets on a crypto that I personally believe that is at its best range for investment, somewhat like this, how you see it with XRP. On a technical standpoint, right? We can see how this market is at a level of current support, what used to be, or just relevant level of support. Not going to say like too much, but you can see it's just support. There's really not much else. It's just acting around a level of significant price. And from there, I would dictate whether or not the market is rejecting from there. If it is, then I just start investing money into my wallets. I would take half of whatever I make daily for my trading, and then I invest it into my crypto for long-term investment growth. I think that's what a lot of people should start doing, and I do advise that for my students a lot. I'm going to be letting everybody know. I do understand. I do know that we do have a lot of legacy students on right now. For you guys that are on right now, what the hell? Sorry, I live in New York City, so if you hear a bunch of noise outside, welcome to New York City. No matter where you live at, it's going to be noisy. So I do advise a lot of students to do that, and I will tell you guys, I'll be letting you guys know when exactly to be getting in or at least investing into your crypto wallets. I will say, at least for right now, a good strategy would be to at least start like collecting or just filling up your USDC or USDT wallet, where it's just a fixed rate, it's not variable, so it's not going to increase or decrease in value. So that way, when it is time to invest into these cryptocurrencies, you can just pull the trigger and you're immediately invested at the right time. So that way you can catch the initial move and obviously you can get a nice ROI, return on your investment. So that's what I would see with XRP. I would say if Bitcoin can hold, let me see here. Somebody, I guess, need to move their car outside. So if I'm also looking at this right here, this is somewhat at its structure point. This is the entire zone, right? I just don't like my zones ever being that big. I like to look at the highs and the actual lows, but we are within that price point, and Bitcoin can, in fact, potentially find some potential bullish moves from here. But I would like to see if it can push down lower, because, again, that head and shoulders pattern is everything to me. I do see that potentially having the momentum to crash below that structure point. How's Dre been? Haven't seen him on Facebook in a while. He's been chilling, man. I think he making his money, dude. That man is on his own. He's one of the most savage traders, one of the best traders I've ever met in my entire life. It's crazy. I introduced him to trading, and he just ran with it. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the best traders in the world, legit. Like, I say that from the heart. Not even because he's my friend, but like I know he's like one of the best traders in the world. He's doing good. He got his family. He got his money. He's successful. But thank you for asking. I definitely appreciate that. That's a good question. I should actually hit my man's up, see what he's doing. We live in the same city now. I just moved back to New York City. I was living in Salt Lake City for a little bit, out in Utah. Now I'm back out here in New York. I know y'all hear that outside. My man's just like honking at horns. It's a FedEx truck. My man's like, I got deliveries. All right, so let me see if there's anything else. Any other questions you guys have? Any other charts and markets you guys would like to identify? Feel free to let me know. I definitely have some time to spend with you guys. If not, we will conclude for today. Only because I just want to make sure that I'm really taking some time to pay attention to the charts, so that way I can send any signals out. Obviously, some of those signals will be sent out in the Discord if you guys are a part of it. If not, then in the description below, you will see the link to it. And then also, I want to make sure that there's some potential trades for our auto trader to make sure everybody's good. We should be up about, I think I only had we just had a loss. I think we should just be up about over 200, 300 pips so far for the week, and it's only Tuesday. So I want to make sure if there's other opportunities that we place them. I might see some potential sells on USD CAD. I might see some buys coming in here for USD CHF. So you guys might get everybody in the Discord, student or not, you'll be able to get a potential buy here with USD CHF coming up. So I'll be looking at this. Let me extend this. So that way you guys could be in the same exact ideas as me. Good stuff, good stuff. I appreciate you guys. But I'm going to leave you guys with this, with USD CHF. I think that this might be our best play so far. We'll be looking for potential buys around this range. From there, we'll look for another move to the upside. We'll see that for the majority of most pairs, like even GBP USD. I like this one too. So what we can see with this is, my man's want to deliver these packages. So a double top break retest right here. I mean, we might actually go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and place this. This is a personal trade. You guys do not have to place this. This is just something I'm going to place. I'm not even going to put this in our auto trader. Auto trader's blue as fuck. I like that. Yeah, it's blue as fuck right now. It's nice. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm sorry about last time, man. Like, I know it's taken a while for the auto trader to get into its groove. I wanted to see if I can make it automated with, expert advisors. Try hiring a few people to take over that said that they knew how to trade. They fucking don't. So I was like, let me just do it. You know what I mean? I was just trying to make it more less time consuming on my end so I can educate you guys more and get a few other things done as far as like education and value. But I can see that, don't hire somebody to do some shit you could do. Let's just put it like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, and we have an FX book and everything too. So everything's solid. The auto trader is going to be always on point now, especially with me just paying attention. This is why I'm also doing the lives, especially in the morning with you guys, because it'll allow me to stay like really on the charts. For me, I've always noticed that if I have eyes watching, if I have people watching, I got to try to be as perfect as possible. So I want you guys to learn the right way, right? I want you all to understand how to trade the right way, understand the markets in a fashion that's going to be profitable, not just some fucking let's go on to the 15-minute time frame, look for an order block and think that's going to work. That's not how the charts work. So I really want to be able to teach and help you guys understand those small aspects. Once you do, everything else just becomes a lot easier, and especially just your own individual trading. Up until then, I'll make you out the money. You know what I mean? It's not too hard. But yeah, again, questions, any other charts you guys want to take a look at, feel free to let me know. If not, we'll conclude for today. Even though right now we'll be looking at the New York Stock Exchange opening here pretty soon. It'll give us some volatility, but I think since we already have, like, just for a quick example, just ironically, we're on a pair that has one, an impulse. Right, since a lot of these charts made their moves, they're going to be doing a lot of corrections before they make another impulsive move. So today might not be a day where you're even going to have a setup, because you can see this is a pretty impulsive move. That's a big move. It's going to have a pretty decent correction. Now, a lot of people are probably asking, are you going to trade those corrections? Are you going to buy into Euro USD? No, I am not. Because buying into a market that's clearly a sell and could keep selling, right? Because this doesn't even have to correct. This could just do this. Or, I'm sorry, I'm over here looking at the correction. It doesn't even have to correct. It could just do like this small correction now and then push down lower. And you're over here buying, looking for it to come up here, and it just continues to push down lower. So I always allow the markets to set up. Plan your trade, trade your plan. Once you can get into that groove of things, everything becomes a lot easier. So hopefully that kind of helps and gives you guys some knowledge. Now, I will conclude for today. Only because, again, I just wanted to stay on, see if there's any questions that you guys had, any markets that you all would like to take a look at as well. I'm pretty sure a lot of the knowledge I gave you guys today, or just what I'll be doing every day, is going to be a lot more knowledge than you normally get anyway. So I'm pretty sure this is helping. If so, please let me know. Leave a comment below. I'm going to take a look at all comments after. Make sure that, I think you can see the comments in a live call, right? I'm pretty sure you can. But I definitely want to see, again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to always let me know. You can contact me on any platform that you see listed in the description, even on the Discord. Definitely feel free, if you're in the public Discord, to drop charts. If you guys have questions about trading, get that community pumping. I definitely want it to be just basically a money machine where everybody's just sharing ideas, sharing whatever trades they're personally in, helping each other out, and really making sure that everybody's succeeding in the forex market. So that's something very important for me, and I definitely want to make sure that's being reflected to you guys. So if you guys did share this with anybody today, I appreciate your support. I appreciate every single single person being on this call right now. We will be catching back on first thing tomorrow morning. For legacy students that are currently on right now, obviously we have our own individual, our own private session later on tonight. So I'll catch you guys on that. Feel free to hit me up if you guys need anything as well. I will be sending out any trades, obviously, to legacy students, but I'm also going to be sharing those trades out with you guys in the Discord. I think it's really important that I just don't educate you guys as best of my ability, but also make sure that you guys are trying to, just profiting as well. Just trying my best to ensure that everybody's benefiting. With that being said, thanks, Jay. Have a great day. Yep. Appreciate you guys. With that being said, I appreciate every last one of you guys. Feel free to hit me up at any point if you guys have any questions, and then I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you. Tell somebody you love them, and I appreciate everyone. Thank you.